Hello and welcome to this instructional video where we are going to talk about a slightly more complex version of invoicing when there is a blend of cash and barter in the transaction. If you want basic instructions for how you would typically invoice your customers through BarterPay, then we have a video for that in our accounting series videos called Invoicing Your Customers Basic. That video has simple step-by-step instructions on how to handle typical transactions. And in fact, it would make sense to watch that video before moving on to this one. The version of invoicing we'll be talking about here is for when we have a barter deal that exceeds $5,000. And the invoice will be split between Canadian dollars and BarterPay barter credits. There are two primary ways of doing that. One is to do it on a single invoice with two separate payments. So let's set it up in that way. Okay, we're going to invoice Mark's auto body. You could set it up where you do it all in one line and you say, okay, well now we're going to do a $10,000 catering job, which we're going to do 60% in barter and 40% in cash. You can say, okay, if that's $10,000. Then you can type in the terms and conditions or in the notes that the breakdown is 60% payable in barter credits and 40% in Canadian dollars. You can get a little bit more advanced than that if you want and actually put it in the individual lines. Catering payable in barter credits and catering payable in Canadian dollars. So let's say the barter credits portion is going to be $6,000. This is $4,000. And then you can see the amounts there that are broken down here. The invoice still adds up properly, setting it up this way. So you can use this option quite easily, doing it on a singular invoice. Then you record a payment against the singular invoice. You can go back and see what the totals are. It was $6,780. So here, I'm running the BarterPay transaction for $6,780, and for the reference, I'll type in the transaction ID number I just received when I put the transaction through the BarterPay POS. And then you can record the separate payment, the check number that was used. And now that's been paid. There are two payments, one that is paid to the BarterPay account and one that is paid to a checking account. The other way to do it is to actually create it as separate invoices. So what you can do is you create one invoice. We'll type in Mark's here. We'll type in catering here under item, and under price put $6,000 payable in barter credits. You could actually add references in terms and conditions like note. A separate invoice has been issued for the Canadian dollar portion of the bill, or something along those lines. You could add a reference number in terms of the invoice numbers that might be different for barter credits, if you think that might help. So now you have the one invoice that's payable in barter credits. Now, I will add another invoice where funds are payable in Canadian dollars. And in the notes, I will copy what I did in the previous invoice, referring back to the fact there's a separate invoice tied to this in barter credits. They stay tied together. So now you would send these two invoices to Mark's, one of which is payable by a check or credit card, or whatever form of payment you accept for Canadian dollars, and the other one, which is payable in barter credits. Of course, you will process the barter credits from Mark's through the BarterPay POS as soon as he provides you with his BarterPay account number. And those are basically the two ways of recording the invoices. You can get into more complexity with respect to invoice numbering or also how you identify the client. You could also go a step beyond, even having the two separate invoices, one labeled Mark's Auto Body BarterPay and one as Mark's Auto Body CAD. You might not need to go to that level, but some people prefer to. However you choose to set up the accounting, just make sure that the customer is properly labeled and the form of payment is clearly displayed so that there is no confusion between you and the business you are bartering with.